Hello and welcome to Reimagining Love. I'm Dr. Alexandra Solomon. I have been studying relationships for over 20 years as a couples therapist, a professor, an award-winning author, and as a wife, mother, daughter, sister, and friend. Now, I'm inviting you into this space each week as I dig into some of the toughest and most fascinating relational dilemmas of our time. If you want to discover how to create vibrant and loving relationships in your own life, you have come to the right place. This is Reimagining Love. Hi there. Okay, I am here to tee up a feed drop of a wonderful conversation that I had with Emmalee and Jennifer, aka the ShrinkChicks. We had such a wonderful time answering some very thoughtful listener questions, including why is it so hard to break a pattern and be in a healthy relationship? And how do I stay open to a healthy relationship without waiting for it to fall apart? I wanted to share our conversation with you here because these are such important questions and because the three of us had a really lovely and thoughtful time answering them together. Enjoy. We think of change as linear, but change is not linear. It's like it is by degree, it is by iteration. I think 90% of my job as a couple therapist is helping couples see the 1 degree of how that conflict went differently. Like I think that part of my brain is always looking for the 1 degree of how it went differently.
Welcome back to another episode of ShrinkChicks.
Take a seat on our virtual therapy couch and get ready to learn all about, well, you.
I'm Emmalee Bierly.
And I'm Jennifer Chaiken.
And we're both licensed marriage and family therapists and relationship experts. We're the owners and founders of The Therapy Group, a nationwide psychotherapy practice with down-to-earth therapists just like us.
Your session is starting, so get ready to know yourself and grow yourself.
We are so thrilled to have one of our all-time favorite guests back with us today, Dr. Alexandra Solomon. Dr. Solomon is a licensed clinical psychologist in private practice, an adjunct professor at Northwestern University, and author and host of the podcast Reimagining Love. She is internationally recognized as one of today's most trusted voices in the world of relationships, and her framework of relational self-awareness has reached millions of people across the globe. We can't wait to pick her brain today about healthy relationships, patterns from our families of origin, and more. Welcome back, Dr. Solomon. We are so thrilled to have you.
It's so good to be with both of you. And it's so fun. I mean, I see you on my phone, on my Instagram, and I'm always cheering for you and so appreciating all you're doing out in the world.
The feeling is so mutual. And I think the last time you came on was like 2022. Time flies.
Wow, time flies.
Was it 2022?
It really could have. Yeah, it totally could have been.
Feels like yesterday hanging out with you is the best. Well, and also I have to say, as someone, we own a large practice, we have a lot of interns, and our Northwestern interns are the best.
The best.
Yeah.
The best.
We, I mean, I hate to be a braggart, but really Northwestern, the Family Institute with both of there's a marriage and family therapy program and there's a counseling program. And both those programs are so strong. And yeah, really like, now that I do a lot of clinician education, out in the world through conferences. And sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, you were not trained at the Family Institute. So I'm glad. I'm so glad.
I know a lot of people listen to this show. They're thinking about career changing and stuff. So truly, we have to say, as someone who does a lot of hiring, Northwestern is really, really good. I don't know how this turned into a promo, but I do want to tell the truth.
Unintentional promo. promo.
There's so many, especially, we're MFTs. There's so many MFT programs, and like we love Northwestern. So it's so special that you're there.
And now both programs have an on-ground and online program. So if geography is a constraint, that's also helpful to know. But yes, we don't need to keep promoting them. They know Northwestern knows they're
They
great.
know they're good.
They know
They're
what they're up to.
best.
And no matter where, I mean, you guys know this, no matter where you train, it is also what you do next. Like all of the conferences you're going to and the continuing education that because there's only so much you can do. Even if it's a full-time 2-year master's program, there's a lot we got to keep learning. It's a lifetime of learning.
And my favorite thing is you got on the podcast and you're like, oh, let's not be salesy. We don't even need to talk about my thing. But now, like, I'm like, okay, but we have to talk about it because you're right. Like, I think so often, and we'll hear this a lot of people be like, oh, I didn't get this out of my program. It's like, okay, it's 2 years, man. It is it's a foundation, but it's a shallow foundation, right? Like there's so much work you're going to learn the rest of your career. And you have a really good course out right now, which we do have to promo a little bit. Tell us about it.
I didn't even consciously.
No, you didn't even want to. I want to bring it up. You don't want to bring it up. I
happen despite me. But I am really, how there's just like these things that you do in your career where you're like, oh, I nailed that one. Like where you feel really like this course I partnered with HESI, which is one of the big continuing education providers here. And I built from the ground up a comprehensive couple therapy certificate training program. So at the end of this course, you are actually certified as a couple therapy informed practitioner. So it is awesome. And that was, for me to take on a project like that, that's serious business for me. I don't take that lightly. So it is really robust. And I just recently, actually yesterday, heard from an LMFT, who trained in couple therapy, who said, I learned so much from your program. And she had a good program. She was complimentary about her master's program. But to our point that we're making here, when you're in an MFT program, there's a whole F in the MFT, right? You're learning family systems, you're learning child and adolescent psychology. So this was, so I'm really proud of that couple therapy course.
It's so needed. And as we're talking about it, I'm thinking like, I loved grad school and I love learning. Like
Jen's gonna do this course. Jen's gonna start the course tonight.
Yeah.
Like
I love the psychotherapy networker. I just like want to learn, it just like reinvigorates me every time I'm learning. Me too. It just like gives, it gives you new life. And I just think as a therapist, you never and should never stop learning in so many different ways.
That's right. I mean, I teach at lots of conferences in part so then I can just like nerd out. Like I'll do my thing and then I'm going to go sit in yours. I'm going to go sit in yours and take 1,000 notes. And because it is whatever I hear things. I'll go to the same teacher and hear something different. It will land differently for me based on where I am in my journey and the field. I mean, having been in the field now for 30 years, like our field is radically different. And it's so exciting the way that the field of couple therapy or systems work in general, the way that it has evolved over time. It's very exciting.
Yes.
Hey, but we got to go into a ton of listener questions because we have you here. We don't have you for a lot of time. And apparently it took us 3 years to get you back again. So we're going to go right into listener questions if it works for you.
Oh, it does.
All right. Are you ready for number 1?
Yeah.
Why is it so hard to break patterns and be in a healthy relationship? My sisters were able to do this and find relationships, but I haven't been. I can't get out.
Oh, yeah. Well, I want to hear both of your thoughts as well. I a little bit am struggling with the premise because there's something kind of like self-critical built into the premise. Because I also want this listener, I don't know if she's a woman, but she's saying sister. So I'm thinking that she's also a sister.
Yeah.
That it also is the partner, what she's able to kind of co-create with a partner. So I also want to make sure that she, I think about that sort of like systems 101, what I call the golden equation of love, my stuff plus your stuff equals our stuff. So she's doing, I think, some really good work on her stuff. That's great, but she cannot control for her partner stuff. So I want her to always keep that in mind as one thing. Yeah. And then the other thing is that I think that one part that we often miss in the pattern changing is that I think some of us who are drawn to this kind of self-work, we get really proactive. We are trying to articulate things differently, articulate our boundaries, ask for our needs. And we forget the whole second half, which is the receiving of somebody else's goodness, the opening to something like the surrendering to the part that's a little more passive that lots of us who I
Yeah.
think come into this work are a little more hesitant to do and maybe don't even know. So I wonder if maybe part of her pattern breaking is going to be around exploring, allowing, letting go, surrendering,
Mm.
receiving.
Mm.
Wow.
I really like that you brought up the critical nature part, right? Like the other thing, I'm working really hard with my 6-year-old right now. Comparison is the thief of joy. And I think it's really hard. I think it's hard when we yearn for something and we're working really hard towards it and we're struggling to get there. And I see this with so many people with single folks that are like, I'm doing all this work and I've gone to therapy and I've done this awareness and I just simply can't find a partner as well. And it's so hard.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I
Mhm.
I love this idea about, like, really saying, like, is there another let's reframe here.
Mhm. That makes me think also, you know, she and her sisters had really truly had 3 different families,
Ooh.
I would want her to also be thoughtful about what did she carry for the system that her sisters didn't carry. I have a
Mm.
whole family of origin series I did on my podcast, and there's a workbook and there's a quiz, and so I really dove in the last year, really dove deeply into family of origin roles, and so I wonder if it'd be helpful for her to kind of just fine tune a bit about looking at what were each of the sisters' roles versus her role, and in what way is her process of liberation and pattern transformation different? So,
Mm.
We have a lot of listeners writing in. And, obviously we're always talking about like what does a healthy relationship look like with others and with yourself? And I think there are times in which sometimes we lean so far into that, which is helpful in a lot of ways. But I also think it can put a lot of pressure on us. There's like this expectation that every single thing you do has to reach this kind of like epitome of relational health.
health.
And
Mhm.
so I hear this person, comparing her relationship to her sisters and to kind of like this epitome of health in general. And so, it goes back to kind of originally what we were saying is just, it just sounds like this person is putting a ton of pressure on themselves. And so, and that, as I think we do when we dive into this work and we're like, wow, like I grew up in a family in which there were all these dysfunctional patterns. And like, I want to do everything I possibly can to make sure that I change that in my relationships. And so, um, I think that there's a level of pressure that can come with that pressure that we put on ourselves and we put on our relationships to like constantly be reaching this level of health, which once again, I think can be healthy in some ways, but also the thing I want to say to that is to allow yourself to be human too.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. A healthy relationship isn't a problem-free
Right.
relationship. It is about how can you stay in contact with each other as you move through the problems. And she doesn't see all of the intricacies of her sister's
Right.
relationships. She's got windows in, and then she's got the stories that the sisters tell.
Hmm.
But yeah, I hear you that I'm really here for a generous, gentle definition of health, which doesn't
Yes.
mean we're tolerating shit in our relationships, but it
Right.
does mean to know that the best we can ever hope for is to be imperfect humans who are really trying hard to love other
Yes.
imperfect humans. Like
Yes. Yes.
that's our goal here. That's the best we're going to be able to
That is so beautifully said,
Yeah.
and also just so important to take home, right? Like, you're not going to reach this place
do.
where you are perfect and your partner's perfect and you have changed every pattern that you had growing up. Like, it's going to come up, your shit's going to come up. And so
Mhm.
to allow yourself to be imperfect and to be working on it is great, but you can take some pressure off of yourself.
Well, you know, it's funny. It's last time you were here. I think we actually had a big conversation around, at the time, it was like narcissism. That was like the word everyone was using on social media. And now
We
it's,
still are.
yes, yeah, narcissism still huge, gaslighting still
Oh,
huge.
that's true.
But you're right. But there's so much pressure. And I think on social media about like, what is a healthy relationship? And the other thing is like, we might be professionals, but like, I actually think it's up to you to define what's healthy for you in your relationship, because it looks so different for everyone. And you're right, God. I mean, especially it's January, right? So January, the time of new year, new me, and let's do it great. Which I think we should be saying January is just hibernation season. I think it should be no new anything in January.
No, we're just trying to
what
rest.
What are we doing? Yeah.
We do soup. We do blankets.
We do soup. We do blankets. That's good. We do socks.
We can do a sock. We might do a cap.
Yes, that's good.
Cap.
Yes, I have no interest in starting anything new this month. But my gosh, the pressure.
Right. Who are you going to be this year? Oh my God, can't I just be who I was last year?
Right.
Can I just be asleep?
Can I just be a bundled up burrito?
Yes.
Good. Is that an option?
I mean, we're in the Northeast. You're cold there too. We're cold.
Right.
I don't know. We're not starting over anything right now. But yeah, but the pressure and this idea of health, and we get it everywhere. Oh gosh, and just the noise of everything. Okay.
That's true.
Next person heard it. How do you actually break a pattern when you can intellectually name it, but still fall into it?
Well, I would say that you are part of the way there, because there was a time you couldn't intellectually name it. So let's give ourselves so much credit for the fact that you can intellectually name it, which means you can see it. I don't know if you remember this. There's a poem that I know my best friend, she was my best friend when we were 10, and she's still my best friend. In high school, she had it stuck to her locker, and it was this poem about, I can't think of the name of it, but it's like, I walk down the street and I fall in the hole. I walk down the street, I see the hole, I fall in the hole. I walk down the street, I start to walk around the hole, then I fall in the hole. You know what I mean? Like, then it's like, I walk down the street and I walk around the hole. And the last chapter is, I walk down a different street. And it's like this beautiful, gentle poem that's about, like, reminds us about iteration. You know, it is, we think of change as linear, but change is not linear. It's like, it is by degree, it is by iteration. I think 90% of my job as a couple therapist is helping couples see the 1 degree of how that conflict went differently. Like, I think that part of my brain is always looking for the 1 degree of how it went differently. So I think intellectual understanding is huge. And then the other, I think where this listener goes from here is embodiment, because there's a whole process of going from the brain into the body, and to make a change in the body, you have to create capacity in the body to do it differently, to tolerate whatever it is, to tolerate somebody. If the pattern she's trying to break, let's say, is a pattern of accommodation. So she sees her accommodation. Okay. So you're going to try to not accommodate, and the person's going to have a reaction to that. But by the way, my love, your whole entire body is going to have a reaction to that. And you have to be able to tolerate that kind of discomfort of what it feels like to not do the thing you've always done. And that's going to take practice. And I think sometimes we think that once we see it, then that's when the angels and the puppies and the rainbows happen. But no, that's when the really uncomfortable shift happens. And sorry, it's the last thing I'll say. Kristen Neff, you know, who's the self-compassion,
the best.
She talks about backdraft, you know, like this idea that when you start to make that change, you can have this whole rush of grief. So as she starts, in order to create the capacity to change the pattern, she's got to move the grief through about all the time she accommodated and all the time she felt unseen. So she's got to really kind of like tone and practice in her body, creating that capacity through grief, you know. So I think that's where it goes from here.
That makes sense. And you know what? Intellectualizing can be like not that it's always easy, but it's almost the easiest part of that process, is that when going to actually make the change because of the backdraft, because of you're almost, the way that you have been functioning previously is basically muscle memory to you.
Yeah.
and your whole system has developed around that muscle memory. So what you're saying is, as you make these changes, not only is it a huge change for you and your internal system, but it's a huge change for you and your external system, and how your external system responds to it, right, affects your internal. So
Yeah.
to be aware of the fact that this is something that takes time, something that you build tolerance towards.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that poem that your
Wait.
friend had. I
Wait.
mean, like, ahead of her time, and also makes so much sense why you guys are best friends
Wait, I
still.
need to know what did your best friend turn out to be? Is she a therapist?
Whoa, no, she's like so far beyond a therapist. She trained as a nurse practitioner, but she is basically like psychically gifted and intuitive counselor. She does, I've had her on my podcast before. She does these insanely fantastic intuitive readings. She gets women pregnant. She just does. She's so gifted.
Wow, I
She's
could have
so
saved a lot of
beyond.
money on IVF if I knew about this. That is
That's
some
right.
crazy
That's
shit,
right.
man.
She would pop some eggs around for you. It would have been a
Yes.
done
But
done
like,
deal.
wow, if that's a messaging we're giving kids at such an early age, I'd love to know. That's why I was like, what did she turn into?
Yeah.
Because like,
Right.
Yeah.
how amazing,
Yeah.
right? If we were to give
Uh-huh.
ourselves just a tiny bit of credit each time, how
Mhm.
powerful that could end up being.
Mhm. Yep. Yep.
I had a picture of like Leonardo DiCaprio on my locker. I was like,
Oh, 100%. I was Duran Duran. No, by that point I was mine was I'm much older than you guys. New Kids on the Block. They were
Oh,
mine.
sexy.
They
See, like, I mean, if
Great
only
one.
I was like that deep at the time. I was
No,
like,
That's
you
right.
know,
That's right. You'd be working at the psychic level at this point
right.
in
I
time.
know, I'm kind of
Mhm.
jealous.
Mhm.
Okay. Why do I feel turned off when I'm treated with kindness or consistency?
Oh, love.
Apparently,
Love.
everyone that listens to this show is very hard on themselves.
Yes.
Well, I think this reminds me of what we were talking about with the first question,
Mm-hmm.
because that's the part of healing that we oftentimes forget is like we think that healing is this like fierce, like I got to be articulating my boundaries and standing up for myself. Well, healing is also I got to soften and open and receive. And then that brings up all kinds of questions of if I love you and I let myself be loved by you, then what if I lose you? And
Mm,
that is so vulnerable. So the kindness and consistency, I think, feels like a turn off because it makes me feel vulnerable because I got to open myself and receive it. And if I open myself and receive it, then what if you pull it away from me?
mm,
Well, I do think all the messaging on social media is very like, um, just say no and cut them off, and like it is like this fierce, impenetrable boundary, as
Mhm,
opposed to so many of us need the messaging. I'm one of these people of soften and let people in. And
mhm,
what if you said yes?
mhm,
Right to intimacy. And it's funny because I don't know if we get that messaging as much.
mhm. Well, and especially if I'm thinking about the gender part too, if this is a straight woman who is kind of noticing her attraction turning down with kindness and consistency, all that means is she was a really good listener to the culture, right? I mean, we are all raised in the steady diet of bad boys, and so it's like almost like our erotic attraction is kind of sculpted around inconsistency, the dangling of the
yes.
carrot. And so then when a man shows up, arms open, devotion, presence, it's like almost like this kind of paradoxical that doesn't feel quote unquote manly to me,
Right.
which is
Right.
like, thank you again, patriarchy.
Wow, like having Leonardo DiCaprio or New Kids on the Block messaging in your locker every single day.
Probably didn't help.
Right.
Probably,
It really
we're,
fucked us
well,
up.
like
Those
Leonardo DiCaprio,
dots
right? Like
connect.
doesn't date anyone over 26-year-old. Like what's the messaging we get from that? You know what I mean? Around aging
Yes.
and stuff, right? Like all of this.
God damn it, I aged out of
You,
Leonardo
babe, you really
DiCaprio.
aged out a long time ago,
You
honey.
were right. You were a contender. You
You
could
were
it could have
was
at that
happened.
for a
time.
period
Not
of
anymore.
time. Nope, Deb, I'm far. Now I'm far
Yes.
from it. God damn it. I think that's such an interesting question, and I do think we got a lot of messaging around, like, what attraction is and what it looks like to feel attracted to and it is this, like, bad boy that, like, isn't giving you the time of day. And my mind also went to a place where, when I'm hearing this question, "Why do I feel turned off when I'm treated with kindness and consistency?" is like, how unfamiliar is that to you?
Mm.
How
Mhm.
unfamiliar was that growing up? And does it feel unfamiliar as an adult? And, I just wonder how much you can look back kind of at history of your caregivers and how consistent were they being with you? How kind were they being to
Mhm.
you? And maybe your model of love developed from a place of
Mhm.
inconsistency or criticism. And so by looking at that to be able to work through, okay, well, what can love look like for me as an adult? And it might be unfamiliar and it's something I have to get to know and understand.
And believe that I'm worthy of.
Yes.
Mhm.
Ooh, that's hard.
Yeah.
That's a hard one. That's a hard one because the little like self-sabotagey patterns are there, right? Because then that if there's a part of me that believes I'm not worthy of it, then I will really do a very good job of creating evidence that proves, see, it wasn't actually kindness.
Yeah.
It wasn't really see, so it will be and that is coming from a place of just it's really hard to believe that I get to I feel like I say that a lot in my therapy, like you get to have this. You get to have this, even though, Jen, to your point, like it was right. If it wasn't what you knew growing up, like, can you say to that young part of you, it's
Yeah.
okay. We actually get to have this now.
Right.
Ooh.
Mhm. Um, there's also something that just has to do with like erotic energy. Like Esther Perel has this beautiful line of like, can we want what we already have? So there is something, and then she often cites this guy Jack Morin who did this erotic equation, which is like attraction plus obstacle equals desire. So there is actually something baked into eroticism about challenge.
Mm,
This is going to be TMI, but like I have this husband who is very deeply kind, deeply consistent. I had to do all my healing work to believe that I could get to have him,
Mm.
and now 28 plus years into our marriage, like I got him. But when we like, it is sometimes like we play with that around the erotic energy. Like he knows if he's like, yeah, I'm really feeling it, Al. I think you're gonna have to come and get me. That is like that's super
Yes.
man.
helpful, even though it is completely right. We know it's pretend, we know it's playful, but it is so that may be part of her healing journey is she may, hope I want her to get to have a partner where
Mm.
that partner is so kind and consistent. And then she gets to say to that partner, okay, sometimes now I want you to, tease me a little, play with me a little, like
Yeah.
pull
Right.
away, then it becomes playful and safe.
Well, it's one of my favorite things Emily Nagoski always talks about is like, right, like the most unsexy thing we do to improve our sex lives is talking about sex, right? Like, and like, what an important
Mhm.
conversation to have around sex. It's like, I actually need you to be like a little bit harder to get with sex and play along and let this be part of our dynamic. Even though
Mhm.
we know it's not true, but like, this is like what I need. Like, this is sexy to me.
Mhm.
And once again, we have this idea that sex should just be intuitive and we should know each other because we've been together. And like, we have to talk about sex. We have to continuously talk about sex and
Mhm.
negotiate and have conversations around sex for better sex.
Right. That's right. That's right. And whatever, and it's an ongoing conversation. I had a session this week where, I'm with a couple that's been together for a very, very long time. And we had to have a really like unique, new kind of conversation about sex because of the moment in their relationship. They're dealing with, some common things that midlife couples deal with in terms of the
Mhm.
challenges of menopause, the health stuff. I will tell you, having adolescent kids in the house, like that's changes the whole. So it's
Yeah.
like whatever conversation you had, you have to and get to have over and over again because
Yeah.
even if you've gotten each other figured out, your body, their body, the bodies are changing, the context is changing.
Hmm. Absolutely.
I mean, just like having conversations over and over again about anything when you're with a partner for a long time. I wish that we could have a conversation in our relationship and be like, okay, we're done. We did, we figured it
Totally.
out, we figured out, we never have to talk about this again. I just think it's such a funny like misconception we have is like, oh, we'll just have this conversation one time, but we'll be together forever and then we'll never have to have it
That
again.
would be so cool, though.
I know. That would be the best.
We'd be out of the job.
That's true. None of us would have jobs,
None of
but
us would
we
have
would have
jobs.
more time for things like knitting our blankets.
Oh, yes, staying in
For
our
our
cocoons.
January,
Exactly.
burrito.
for our January
As
burritos.
opposed to what we actually experience in January, which is, hey, I just had this horrific experience with my in-laws and now we're fighting and now I have to have 5 emergency sessions, right?
That's right.
It's actually what January looks like.
Yeah.
Okay, how do I stay open to a healthy relationship without waiting for it to fall apart?
Oh. Do you guys want to go first on this one? I keep going first.
We want you to
We
go
want
first.
you to go first. They hear us all the time.
We're old news.
All right. How do I stay open to a relationship without worrying about it falling apart?
Waiting for it to fall
waiting
apart.
for it to fall apart.
Well, okay, super duper love the insight here because
Yeah.
what this person is saying is that they know there's a part of them. Like I'm imagining this little I don't know if it's like a little scientist with a clipboard on the shoulder. Like there's a little part that's like sitting there like, well, look at the data is trending in such a way that we're crashing and burning within 3 months. Like there's just like a part that is. And so I want this listener to be in dialogue with that part, and whenever we're dialoguing with a part of ourselves, the first question is, what are you trying to keep me safe from?
Yeah.
And I would imagine that part is trying to keep this listener safe from a broken heart.
Yeah.
And the part with the clipboard is like, but if I see it coming and then I alert you, then it's not going to hurt so bad because then it won't be at least a blind side. And so then can this listener say to that part, oh my God, that's so beautiful. Thank you so much. But I think we're trustworthy. I think, we've picked ourselves up before from some hard shit and we don't want that to happen, but we could do it. We could survive it. And could that part have another job?
Yeah.
Could that part be tracking the beautiful moments or the sweet moments or the safe moments? Could we rewrite that job description a little bit? So but then I also want to just honor at the most existential level, there is no such thing as love without the threat of loss. Like those are just because even if it doesn't fall apart because somebody breaks up with somebody, beautiful things fall apart through death and through whatever other, so there is no solving for that fear of that risk of losing something that is like so precious and so exciting and so beautiful and so valuable. So the part of it is just like learning how the hell you get through a day knowing that that's not something you can solve for.
Right. And I love that idea, and what you're speaking to is, giving that part another job because it's true. Like we could in any relationship where we love someone, whether, it's romantic love or friendship or, familial love, like there's, always that threat of loss. And to be able to kind of work through that in your own mind, to give that part of you another job allows you to be more present in the moment, to be able to enjoy the relationship that you have with that person, where if there's always kind of this part of you that's doing that job of protection from the possibility of loss, then it keeps you from being able to be present in the moment in the relationship and enjoy the relationship that you've built with this person.
Yeah. And it's like, it's not either or. It's not either I'm watching 24/7 for the shoe to fall, or I am blindly just ignoring every single indicator of. So there's something here, I think, about self-trust.
Yes.
The self-trust that I've got my eyes open, but I've got my eyes open to all of it.
Right.
Yeah.
My eyes open to all of it. I can see all this. Oh, that makes such a it is. I mean, right when we get into that dichotomous thinking of like this, all or nothing, it also takes us out from being present, right? Like the other thing is that like if we're sitting here and we're only listening to the little scientist with the clipboard you talked about, am I able to like even be present in my relationship and let it be what
Right.
it is?
Right.
Which is a practice, right? Like I mean, I feel like there's such a theme between these, right? About like it's a practice to savor, because the reason this person is worried about losing the relationship is because this person likes the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a practice to like let ourselves let in good things, let in things that feel good.
Mm.
And to everything we've been saying before, there might have been times where a lot of goodness wasn't available. So this is
Right.
a stretch. There might have been times where there was goodness that was lost, and that was
Right.
painful. So really getting in touch with like, why for me? What is it for me? It is difficult about that fear of the shoe dropping, or of this getting
Yeah.
taken away from me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, our final question before we get to calling bullshit. Now there's too many questions and I got too nervous and it was like too much pressure.
She
I had to like
panicked.
choose the last one. I completely panicked for the
It
record.
all
Yes,
comes
it
down
all
to
fell apart
this.
because I was supposed to be hibernating in January, not choosing.
Right.
I don't know what
Right.
to do. How to navigate when a partner changes their thoughts on having a family years later.
Drops a
That's a
big one on
specific
you
one.
at
I
the
know.
end.
Why not? Why not just get very challenging at the end? So this person was in a relationship. They get married. They always had planned to have kids, and now their partner says, "I don't want to do this anymore. I've changed my mind."
That's really well. I think the first thing I wanted them to have is a couple therapist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is something I've been working on a lot lately. Is like just polarization processes in couples, and so I don't know what may happen. So let's say partner A is the one that said, "I don't want to have kids anymore." It may be that partner A e- expressed hesitation, and partner B got scared. And when partner B got scared and said, "But that's not fair," then partner A said, "Yeah, but I get to change my mind in this relationship." And partner B said, "Well, wait, you didn't." So you know what I mean? Like it might just be that it
Yeah.
was, I don't
Yes.
know. Maybe partner A truly did come in and drop an absolute hard hammer that is like, I went 180. In which case it is a couple therapy thing.
Yeah.
And it may not be that the relationship is sustainable, right? That's a
Right.
really hard,
Happens.
but I want them to be really, really aware of in what ways is fear making it really hard for either of them to hear the other one. And then whenever it's a do we, don't we, we've got to have another way to come into the conversation where it's like the two of us together, shoulder to shoulder, looking at this really big question. But I think I would want them with somebody else in the room on that, because it's you got to have somebody who's watching the process and really
Yeah.
making it go slowly enough that
Yeah.
each one, because it's like there's one of my a husband and a couple I see just said it last week, and it was like so powerful. He's like, there's 3 steps to communication. There's my thought, there's the way my thought comes out of my mouth, and then there's the way it lands for her. Like there's
Yes.
so many places where things can go wrong.
Absolutely.
Too many places.
Really too many places.
Absolutely.
So I want somebody in there with them, really slowing that process down,
Yeah.
because the stakes are high, and that's a big deal.
And it's such a big topic, right? Like big topics we can treat as big topics and like take them seriously. And I think something like, especially like, younger generations do is like we make such a joke about everything.
Uh-huh.
Right? Like there's like this thing of like, man, like there's just like so much joking, which sometimes is great to have levity in a situation, but then sometimes we miss each other because I'm like, well, was that a joke or was that not? I'm like, I actually don't know what's happening at this point. And so big topics we can take seriously and say, you know what? This is a big topic. Let's bring someone else in the room. Let's go find a couples therapist to go through this because this matters and our relationship matters in whatever capacity. Let's take it really seriously. And that doesn't mean that there's dooming, right? Because there's always going to be that myth of what, things are really bad if I'm going to couples therapy. And it's just simply not true. It's the myth. I feel like the myth we'll spend all of our careers trying, debunking.
Yep, that's true. That's true.
But speaking about myths, now is the end of the
Great
segment where we say
segue.
calling bullshit. Where we ask everyone who comes on the show, every guest, to call some bullshit in their field. I mean, you can even call some bullshit about, in January or something. It's up to you. But give us some bullshit.
Do we know what my bullshit was last time? I don't want to call the same bullshit.
Oh, no.
I think it was about social media. It was about like like social media. It was about like taking social media with a grain of salt last time you were
Yeah,
here. That's what it was about.
that remains some
Amazing
bullshit.
memory.
The bullshit hasn't
Remains-
changed.
It remains some bullshit.
Unfortunately, did not overhaul the entire context of social media in the last
No.
3 years.
We did not.
It's only gotten more
We did
intense.
not. I might want to call some bullshit on the idea that I've been really noodling a lot on the ways in which marriage as an institution is sort of co-opted by the conservative part of the world. You know, if you go
Yes.
to Amazon and you type in marriage books, they're nearly all Christian publishers, which is
Yeah.
no judgment against Christian publishers or Christian people or any of that, but that I kind of call bullshit on the idea of marriage by necessity and by definition being a traditional, regressive, limiting,
Yes.
gender normative institution. Like, I am here to support marriage as a really beautiful way for people to, like, capital O, capital M, create our marriage. So that's what I'm calling bullshit
Oh
on.
God, that
Ah,
was
that was
maybe the
so
best one
good.
we've ever had.
Oh,
Yeah.
shut up. Really?
Swear to fucking God,
You're
that was
saying
so
it was
good.
you're saying it wasn't a
because
contest, but I did win.
You did.
Yeah,
It
you
wasn't no,
won.
it was a contest, and you won it still. I just didn't tell you it was a contest.
We
No,
didn't know it was a
because
contest until that.
Those are the best ones to
so
win.
right. Because you're so absolutely right. And we can't even tell you, I mean, especially with running a large practice and stuff, how many times people will write in and say, I want a progressive couples therapist that believes in marriage, but also believes, you know what I mean? Which one? Like,
Mhm.
why wouldn't we believe? I'm very progressive. Why wouldn't I believe in marriage though? But you're
Yeah.
right. It's being co-opted and like stolen when
Mhm.
the beauty of marriage is that we can make it for ourselves and
Mhm.
whatever that looks like. There is not one way to be married.
Yep. Yep.
Oh, that was the best one we've ever had. I'm so fucking happy that's what you said.
I had a moment where it really landed for me. I interviewed a lesbian couple for my show, where one of the gals was
Mhm.
from the marriage and family therapy program at Northwestern, and they told the story of their wedding, and they talked about how for the wedding felt really different for each of them. To one of the women, it felt like this complete relinquishing of all of her feminist ideology and all of her progressivism. And she's like, God damn, I thought I was this sort of like living outside of all these spaces. And now here I go entering the oldest freaking institution in the books. And the other partner, the other wife, who adored, I mean, they adore each other, but to the other wife, it was getting married was the most subversive thing ever. It was like, you're right. You're goddamn right. We're going to be in this institution. This is our institution too. We get to have this. And it was such a crystallizing moment of like, we're really confused about what the institution itself is and what it gets to be. And so I love this idea that we get to invite thoughtful, nuanced conversations about it. So people don't have to either swallow it whole or reject it entirely.
Oh, well, and I don't think you realize the healing you just gave to me, because I have felt this way with motherhood. That yes,
Yeah.
because I feel like motherhood has also been co-opted, right? To like have, especially having like multiple kids. It's like, crazy to have multiple kids now. It almost feels like, but I think there was healing you just gave to me that you didn't realize about that actually like motherhood could be like incredibly liberal and progressive. And right, we had a beautiful mom just taken from us with ICE being murdered right in the streets. And motherhood is one I think about protecting everyone and taking care and giving unconditional love to the world. And so wow, you just gave me so much healing and you didn't realize it.
I love being with you guys.
So great.
Thank you. Wow, really thank you. I really, really appreciated that one. That was good.
Yeah. And
All
thank
right.
you for this conversation. We are so thrilled to have, I can't believe it took so long. We need to have you back on constantly.
Let's see. Good. Well, tell us when the next is. But tell us, where can people find you? If you are a therapist and you want to add couples therapy to the beautiful work that you do, it sounds like they can check you out on Pezzy, but tell us everywhere everyone can find you.
Yeah, you can go to my website, dralexandrasolomon.com, and you will find links to all the things, the podcast and blogs and information about courses. I have e-courses for the general public. I have a really nice one for couples who are recovering from infidelity. Not that that process is nice, but it's a really supportive resource for couples who are exploring how to rebuild trust. That's also where you find the link to the couple therapy certification course, which is, yes, offered in partnership with PESI. On my Instagram, which is at dr.alexandra.solomon, there's also links there to all the things, including the course.
That's awesome. And it'll all be linked in today's show notes as well. Thanks for having you on. We'll see you soon.
Do you have a relationship question that you want answered on the show? Visit reimagininglove.com to send in a written or audio question. Questions can be about intimate partnerships, family relationships, friendships, you name it. If you're looking for more love and relationship content, you can find me on Instagram at dr.alexandra.solomon or visit my website, dralexandrasolomon.com, where you'll find my blog as well as the Intimate Relationships 101 e-course based off of the popular class I teach at Northwestern University. Thank you for listening and see you next week here on Reimagining Love.